I would just say thank you to the Yankees, and they wrote me a nice note here, and I got here, and all of a sudden I see this notice open. Like who opened my mail?
That was me.
Who do you think you are? I wouldn't open your mail.
A friend.
I don't open your mail.
A friend and a co-host that knew and took a gamble on the fact that you would have preferred that helmet get displayed because you reached out to a high-level person in the organization. They overnighted it. It had overnight stuff all over it. And I thought you would appreciate the fact that I took the situation by the balls and I got that helmet on the desk to be able to match the Mets side of things. And by the way, for content purposes, I opened the note and I thought it was great and it worked out. And we had a conversation.
Worked out for you guys.
It had a conversation.
It's my private note.
It's not really private.
I mean, it says Boomer on it.
Yeah, but the inside.
See that? You see what it says? See that?
I know.
Boomer.
I know, but
Al, you see this?
Yeah.
Boomer. I mean, Eddie, you see this?
It says Boomer, yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So we were trying to figure out
why would anybody other than Boomer open it? I don't understand that.
Well, once again,
and now I understand if you open the helmet. I get that because I think you knew what it was.
Boomer on it too.
You knew what it was, though.
Yeah, I knew what it was. Yeah,
and that's a different story because we had talked openly about that, and my friend at the Yankees came through, and I would just want to personally thank him right now. I'm not going to mention his name.
So you can't personally thank him, but
he knows.
He knows.
He's listening. I'm talking. He knows.
But that note could have been anything personal. It could have been like the invitation to the Illuminati.
It could have been like, hey, you want to come to opening day, but don't bring Gio. It could have said anything like that. It could have said, hey, if you want a box for opening day, but you can't bring the crew in the morning. It could have said anything like that, and you guys would have got all upset. But now
I wouldn't have because that would have been my own fault.
Did you read it?
Yes, I did.
I know you read it, but did you read it publicly?
Yes, because it was so Yankees, and I wanted to show that they were serious about getting that helmet up there. And the reason why, too, was we were having a debate if that was a real Aaron Judge helmet, which I believe that it was. And I thought maybe the note was going to indicate that to be able to solve the mystery. So, listen, I stand by my decision because here's the thing. Over these 7 years, we're now in year 8, we have built a level of trust where I took a chance on this, where I thought, you know what, he's not going to be upset with me on this one. I don't think, because he trusts me.
I'm only partially upset. I'm only partially upset. I'm not totally upset.
I rolled the dice, man.
I'm glad that you opened this, and I'm glad that my friend sent me this helmet. It's beautiful, just like the Met helmet is beautiful. It's the real thing. It's authentic, and that's all we could ask for.
You want to know the truth? You left me on goddamn President's Day. I'm sitting here drowning, and I needed something. So I said, get the goddamn helmet. Let's talk about it.
So let me read what this says. New York Yankees. Compliments of the 27-time World Series champions,
which was great.
That's such a
Yankee thing.
It is a Yankee. It's a very Yankee thing.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that they sent it and that they were professional about it. So to my friend, thank you very much. Even though I don't root for your team, I appreciate you being a part of our show because you are a big part of our show. Yes. Especially with the biggest guy in baseball having elbow problems.
That's right. Yes, both elbows.
Now does that like take us out of the bet that we normally have?
No, we could still do it, and because we usually did soft tissue injuries, we did like pulled muscles, so we could do like the first pulled muscle. Because that'll happen as well.
Well, have you ever had a tennis elbow?
Yes, I actually had when I was pitching a lot in Little League, and at that point, like nobody was doing.
Well, that's
anything.
not really tennis elbow.
But it was tendonitis in the elbow, which is essentially the same thing, right?
It may be. I don't know.
It's overuse of those tendons without ripping them, right?
Yeah, he doesn't even throw.
I know he doesn't. But
it's both elbows.
He said from swinging a bat, is what he said. But, so we could still do that. But, yeah, both elbows with the tennis elbows. A little bit surprising.
Well, it said it bothered him in October, and if it bothered him in October, he was hitting the crap out of the ball.
Yeah, I know. So maybe you should just go out there, deal with the tennis elbow thing, because that's when he shines in the postseason.
If there's part of me feels bad for him because I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good teammate. He's not a dog. It's just that he is so injury prone.
Yeah.
That sometimes, like when they tell him not to run.
Yeah,
that's annoying. Bad. That's annoying. That's $30 million of annoyance.
Yeah.
And they tell him not to throw, and then they tell him not to do this, tell him not to do that. But you can hit home runs. That's the only thing they really want him to do.
Oh, yeah, of course. Drive-in runs in key situations in the postseason, which he has done. I mean, I think that his performance as a Yankee in the postseason has essentially put him in the Hall of Fame. I really believe that. That's how important he's been, and those numbers are that good, and he won an MVP in the past. So you can't, the point of the conversation, I'm not trying to have a Hall of Fame conversation, but the point of the conversation is that this guy, every single time in the postseason, puts that offense on his back where Aaron Judge does not. So, we do make fun of it, and I think that it's an easy target to go after, and we have done that with all the injuries. But I'm telling you, man, we always judge guys in the biggest moments, and he's done that.
Well, I mean, that's what we're doing with Eli Manning, but somehow he didn't get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I know. Well, I disagreed with that, but I think
we all disagree with that. But I will say this: don't we got like 5 more years of this, like soft tissue injury stuff going
I think
on?
So. Maybe 4.
4, maybe.
Maybe 4. I'd have to take a look.
His career is not over yet.
I threw this at Willie the other day. I was proud of this take, and I hadn't heard it before.
By the way, thank you to Willie Colon for sitting in.
Yes, absolutely. Came in for 2 days. He was happy to be able to talk some ball and some sports. But if Eli Manning were the Jets quarterback and had the exact same career, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer.
That's because that's what Joe Namath was.
Bang.
Yes.
Downtown.
I mean, like if you compare anybody's overall statistics to Joe Namath, I mean, everybody should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. So if you take
but it was a different
desolate
time.
franchise.
Right.
From, I mean, the Giants had won in the past. And it was the New York Giants. They had won their Super Bowls. They were one of the original franchises. They've been around forever. Y.A. Tittle, everything else we know. So, but if Eli Manning had done that for the Jets,
no, it'd be unbelievable.
Browns,
he'd be in already.
He'd be in already.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't like that.
I think that's part of the story. Plus, other players who are on the ballot, which all deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
And it's going to get even tougher going forward.
Yeah, exactly, which is what we were talking about. But I just, to go back to Stanton for a second. So this was bothering him, and we didn't hear anything about this in October.
No.
Nothing.
Well, you don't generally, unless a guy's missing games, if someone is fighting through in any sport with an injury, you don't hear a ton about it unless there's a chance that he misses a game. Even with Aaron Rodgers this past year, they never really came out when he was hurt and said it's a hamstring, it's a knee, it's a that. He
wouldn't say it. I knew what it was, but unless, of course, you're Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, my God. Well, he would just make up stuff.
Yeah.
That was some of the funniest stuff in the world. The broken toes. When he said he had the floating rib that was going to puncture his lung and he was going to die, that was just comedic moments. Coach
Cowher told me one time that he said he had a broken toe.
Yeah, broken toes, I think.
Or whatever. Yeah. And the media came running back to Coach Cowher. How is Ben playing with broken toes? Cowher's like, broken toes? What are you talking about?
Have broken toes. Yeah. It's a classic. Yeah, it's a classic moment in his tenure there.
But this is unbelievable to me. Like you can't do surgery on stuff like this. There's no way, because the surgery then will put you out for a year, like at least a year. But so I guess you got to do it through modalities. You got to try to minimize the swelling.
Yeah.
And that guy's swelled up anyway.
Yeah,
I bet you it's a lot. I bet you he does a lot of curls.
A lot of lifting, and that's where it comes from.
Curls,
of course he does.
And triceps.
Yeah, with the body. Yeah, you put that in a tight shirt, in warm weather. I mean, that's chick magnet thing, showing the gun. So I'm sure he's doing that. And also, remember last year, prior to the season, Brian Cashman said, we have to deal with the reality that Giancarlo Stanton's going to be out for a period of time in the regular season, and Stanton and his agent got pissed at that and fired back. Well, here we are again.
Yeah, a lot of people say a lot of things about Stanton.
But so you had the Montas injury while you were gone, you had the Stanton injury while you were gone, and you had Steve Cohen yesterday after our show ended, and he said a couple interesting things in there. But right now he's feeling himself, and he should, and because he got Soto, because he got Alonso back, and because of the team going to the NLCS last year and going on that magical run, and he's in the clubhouse with the champagne, he's feeling himself, but he's talking freely. He's
good.
The man.
As the owner of my team, I'm happy. The guy wants to win in the worst way.
Of course.
And I will say this, too, and I know a lot of fans will probably roll their eyes. Jim Dolan wants to win too. He just does it. He just doesn't express himself the way that Steve Cohen does.
Sure, yeah.
And Steve Cohen is so much more open than Jim Dolan ever is. And when Jim Dolan does get open, unfortunately, it's usually some sort of controversy surrounding the Garden.
Right now, exactly. So if Jim Dolan says something because all the history of some of those bad years and those bad hires is going to get crushed. When Steve Cohen says a couple of things that are controversial, he's going to get away with it. I wouldn't say controversial, but things that fans don't necessarily love to hear. And two things he said yesterday was, Vlad Guerrero is going to be a free agent. They didn't reach an agreement up in Toronto. And he said, listen, the reality of this thing is having 2 double-digit year giant contracts is not something that's sustainable. So
number one, he shouldn't be talking about Vlad Guerrero at all.
Well, but I think he probably said, they asked that question, and he probably prefaced it so it's not tampering, but talking in general about free agents and how expensive it is and all of that. So that's you don't love to hear that because you want to spend as much money, you don't want to care. But of course, it is a reality, that competitive balance tax. And he also got on the fans for not showing up last year.
Well, they got off to a horrendous start.
I know why they didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm never getting on fans for not buying tickets. I will never do that and tell people what they should be doing or what they should be spending money on. I think that is just a terrible thing.
I'll say this, that going to Citi Field, as much as I love going there and as much as I love watching a baseball game there, because it truly is a baseball park, you feel that way when you're there. You have a great I've never, even when the Mets have lost, we went last year. We had a great time with the kids and everything else.
I brought that up the other day.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, it's and it's so easy to get to, and so easy, from the train and all of that from Manhasset. It's all that stuff is easy.
Yeah.
But the point is that I don't want to go in April. I don't want to go when it's raining and it's freezing cold. I don't want to go on a Wednesday night.
No, right. Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to do that. But I will say this, and it goes back to what those guys that said we're talking about in the afternoon. If they had a dome, it would be unbelievable. You'd want to go to the games. You'd want to be inside. You'd want to enjoy it. You wouldn't have to sit through rain delays and all sorts of crap and listen to the planes go overhead and all that. I know that's part of the charm of where the baseball park is. But if they were able to put a dome on that thing, it would be money.
Retractable roof would be awesome.
Yes.
There for 100%. It's a hard thing to argue. It doesn't sound like it's something that is in the cards right now, but maybe with the full renovation and the casino there years down the road.
I don't know.
Who knows?
They would have to rip this place down. I mean, it's beautiful. And quite frankly, Jeff Wilpon was the one that developed this thing.
Yeah.
And it is gorgeous. They didn't have the money, obviously, to maybe even think about putting a dome over it, but that's what it is. It's a beautiful baseball park, and it's beautiful June through September.
Yeah, I mean, it is expensive to bring a family of 4. We talk about those things, and these are things that come up. So sometimes it's just, people pick 1 or 2 games to go to during the year, and even if they're a diehard Mets fan. And it's also so easy these days to consume so much of the content. Now, going to a baseball game and bringing a kid to a baseball game is something that you can't experience when you're in your living room watching on TV. So there's always going to be the charm of that. But it's tough when you get an owner that's kind of getting on the fans a little bit for not showing up.
He is spending so much money.
I understand from his perspective, but that's not something you say publicly.
I wasn't upset so much by the way he said it, just simply because if he didn't put his own money where his mouth is, then I would not. Then I'd have a problem with it. Like if you told me you were spending $250 million on your team, which is a lot of money to be spending on a baseball team, as opposed to 315 or whatever, 320, whatever it is right now, I would just say, you know what, go screw. But the fact that he has put his own money there and that both he and his wife are actively involved in every aspect, and Jose Iglesias told us that.
Yep.
To me, I don't know. He's allowed to blow off a little steam in that regard, and I think the fan base will support him, and they want to support a winner. He went out and got Soto, so now there are no excuses. If the fans don't show up, and what they average, 18,000 a game last year or something?
I think they were 18th in attendance. In attendance, yeah. That's what I think it was.
So what is that, about 25,000 a game?
I'm not sure. I just know that it ranked lower than he wanted to when it was in the...
Well, he'd like it to be in the top 5, his salary structure
this year. And he mentioned how attendance lags with performance, which is true. Where last year they had all this great success, and then they had the offseason they had. So there's going to be an uptick in attendance for sure.
And I think sponsorship.